By tuning into this episode, there's a high chance that one, you work with or are interested in working with plant medicines, sacred medicines, and two, you care about following your dreams and manifesting your vision for life in 2025 and beyond. Most people desire to call in their dream life. That's obvious, especially so when you've had life-changing medicine journeys and gain a glimpse of greater potentials. But how you go about it all will determine whether you rise to your definition of success or remain stuck living a life of complacency and stagnation and mediocrity. Over 10 years ago, I transitioned from the 9 to 5 rat race into a life of creating and taking action toward my vision for life, and have helped hundreds of others move closer toward their goals through mindset, mysticism, shamanic healing, grounded spirituality, and wilderness initiation programs. And what I've found is that there are three major problems holding people back from creating their dream life. One, it's a lack of clarity. Two, not knowing where and how to take action. And three, the most unexpected one perhaps, thinking that your dream life is your dream life when actually it isn't. So I'm about to share the secrets of those insights and also several powerful frameworks that you can implement immediately to get you closer to actually realizing your dreams if you're someone who values the medicine path in conjunction with creating a vision-led life. Problem one, a lack of clarity. If you want to unlock the next stage of the game, your mission, if you choose to accept it, that is to examine and clarify what you truly value and to ensure that your daily actions and activities are a direct match to what it is that you say that you truly value, aka the things that you say matter most. It sounds obvious, but there's really more to it that most people don't actually think about. If you're not aligned to your highest values, the alternative is being aligned to your lowest values. And the cost of living a low value life is obvious. And when I say low value, I don't mean by some kind of external metric. What I'm really talking about here is an internal perspective, where one's own reality doesn't match what they really want out of life. Hence, it's experienced as a low value life. The outcome, at least to me, it's obvious. There's procrastination, a lack of motivation, zero inspiration. You start feeling drained and frustrated. It feels like you're in a constant uphill battle. You find yourself stuck in survival mode. Instant gratification becomes more alluring. Addictions start to take hold. You reach for that quick little dopamine hit, a little bit here, a little bit there, and then all of a sudden you're stuck in this pit of quicksand and find it hard to get yourself out of that. Or the negative self-talk starts to roll in and you end up lying awake at night wondering if you'll ever truly rise up to fulfill your greater potential. I know this well. I've been there myself, and I can say this: if you're weighed down by distractions and the stagnation and the struggles of life, you might really want to check in that you're not running on autopilot, like a seed pod getting blown through the air completely at the whim of all these external currents and strong winds. The programming and conditioning from society, culture, family, ancestry, religion, and everything else just keeps blowing you around with no clear opportunity of finding solid ground and putting down solid and healthy roots down deep into the earth. There are serious consequences here. Burnout from chasing goals that don't actually inspire you. Physical illness from a buildup of stagnant energy. Resentment towards obligations that clash with your own personal, unique vision for life. There's depression from wallowing in stagnation and leaving unfulfilled potential on the table. And I say this all the time: if you are not clarifying and living a life in accordance to your highest values, it's very likely you'll default to living a life in accordance to someone else's. And if you're not filling your day with high priority actions, your life is going to fill up with low priority distractions as a result. I also know this firsthand from living and experiencing that reality. And so the solution for step one is simple. Know your values, know thyself. Just because it's simple though, doesn't necessarily mean that it's easy. If knowing thyself and claiming one's own personal power, potential, authenticity, truth, if all of that was easy, well, everyone would be on the path of self-actualization and consciously walking their own unique personal soul path. So really, we need to know what truly matters to us. Greg McKeown calls it essentialism. John DeMartini calls it value determination. Whatever it is that you want to call it, what we're talking about here is spending your time, energy, money, and attention, the resources that you allocate to things every single day, on the things that matter most, the things that are essential to enacting your dreams for life and manifesting in your vision, mission, purpose, soul path, greater destiny. So a question arises: how can we gain more insight from our values? How do we even know what our values are? How do we figure that out? Well, yeah, this is a great question. And I've found it to be absolutely essential to follow these steps, this 3-part framework, especially if you care about grounding your dream life into reality. 1, understanding what values are. 2, identify what values truly matter to you. And 3, align your values and your vision for life with your daily actions. Simple, but not necessarily easy. So let's tease those 3 steps apart a little bit. Step 1, understand what values are. Okay, so values are the invisible framework, the architecture behind every choice that you make. They're not necessarily goals or aspirations, they're the things that matter most to you. And I consider there to be 2 categories of values. There's your lifestyle-based values and then your principle-based values. Your lifestyle-based values, they fall into what I call the 7 quests. And John Demartini speaks about these 7 categories in his value determination process. There is a spiritual quest, fulfilling some kind of spiritual mission. There's a mind development quest, expanding our mental faculties. That's the pursuit of knowledge and education. There's a vocational quest, developing success and achievement in a career. Then there's a financial quest, generating wealth and financial freedom. There's a family or a relationship quest, nurturing a loving family or fostering a soulful relationship. Then there's a social quest, which is contribution to society, desiring social influence and becoming a powerful leader. And then a physical quest, focusing on health, vitality, wellness, and also beauty and attractiveness. On the other hand, principle-based values look more like, let's say, individual words or qualities that would make up part of your philosophy for life. And some of these words might include adventure, integrity, recognition, freedom, creativity, health, courage, gratitude, cooperation, altruism, mastery, discipline, intelligence, empathy, loyalty, wisdom. The list goes on and on and on. So that's step 1. Understand that about values. Step 2, identify what truly matters to you. When it comes to lifestyle-based values, answering these questions that I'm about to present to you with sincere honesty will clearly illuminate what it is that you value most, and if there are any discrepancies between what you actually value right now in the present moment and what it is that you say you value, and perhaps what it is that you'd like to move more towards, because there can be a discrepancy there. So the questions: where do you like spending your time and energy without hesitation? On what exactly do you spend the most amount of money on? Also without hesitation. What do you want to study and learn about most? What kind of topics are you most inspired to talk about with other people? When you look around, what kind of items are most prolific in the spaces that you frequent? What energizes you and inspires you the most? Whatever your honest answers are here will highlight what it is that you most value. Now, when it comes to your principle-based values, I've created a resource if you want to clarify your top 5 words, your top 5 principle-based values, that is, which you can access for free. Now, at the start of this year, I prefaced it by saying that I know that choosing one word for the year is usually the thing to do, but I find it to be much more valuable to get clarity on your top values and orient your life and your actions toward those values rather than just have one nebulous word try to sum up a whole year. So you can get that resource for clarifying your top values at kayutakiora.com/values. As I said, it's free. I'll link it in the show notes. Now, to use myself as an example, my top words for 2025 are vision, vitality, power, focus, impact, and abundance. And yeah, I know that's 6 words. It can definitely be challenging to whittle them down, but the process is once you have your top 10 words from that list, try and get them down to your top 5. And then once you have your top 5, rank them in order of importance, and then clarify what it is that they actually mean to you and what it would look like to enact those principles on a daily basis. Ground it into physical reality. What does it actually look like? Now, I explained this in a recent social media reel, so come and connect with me if we aren't already connected on social media at Kayuta Kiora on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. But I explained what my top value words for 2025 actually meant for me to hopefully give you some more real world insight here. So for me, vision. Vision is the overarching atmosphere that encompasses everything I'm doing and everything that I'm working towards. It's like a distant horizon calling me forward into more of my unique mission, purpose, soul path, and dream life. Then there's vitality, practices that support my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health and well-being, such as eating healthy organic foods, exercise and movement, morning and daily sunshine, adequate rest and sleep, reading inspiring material, creating meaningful projects, mindfulness and meditation practices. I'm sure you get the gist of what I'm talking about here. And then there's power, which is all about empowering myself through authentic living, ensuring my words match my actions and my actions match my values. I'm also empowering myself through maintaining clear boundaries, energetic alignment, all this kind of stuff. And then there's impact, creating meaningful contributions to the world that help others in a big way. And there's focus, ensuring my attention is oriented towards the things that I say actually really matter most. And then there's abundance, creating much more of it and actually realizing how much of it I already have in my life and to be grateful for that, for everything that I have in each and every moment. Now, I don't like to guarantee much, but in this instance, I guarantee you, I promise you, if you get clear on your top 5 words and keep them in a place where you can see them every single day, remind yourself of them, and actually orient your daily actions towards them, aka take intentional action every single day to ensure you're living out your values, it will absolutely transform the rest of your year ahead. How could it not? It's a pretty simple equation, but as I mentioned, simple doesn't mean easy. There's a lot of distractions that we have to navigate. But again, in saying all of that, you can check out the resources for those principle-based values over at kayutakiora.com/values. And as you're looking over them, ask yourself the question, what principles and philosophies resonate with me the most? Choose your top 10, whittle them down to your top 5, rank them in order of importance. Boom, go and do it. Okay, that's step 2, identifying your highest values. Now, for step 3, aligning your values with your daily actions. And this is where we get into a major problem for creating your dream life. It's taking action. You might have clarity about what really matters, but translating that into daily actions is where many people get stuck. A lot of people love creating and focusing on goals, but goals are really a marker point that help us know whether or not we're on the right path or whether we need to pivot. Goals are great, don't get me wrong, but when you shift your focus from goals over to systems, that's when everything starts to really change. Systems are quite simply the steps required to get from point A to point B. People usually don't take action because they don't know what to take action on. But when you break things down into manageable chunks, the steps become much more clear. And if they're not clear, chances are you haven't broken down the steps into enough bite-sized pieces so you can understand what it is that you need to take action on. Now, you might say that you don't have enough time or energy or money or support. And look, I get it, honestly. Life is challenging. The cost of living is skyrocketing. Societal collapse is around the corner. We're on the brink of environmental disaster, so they say. Toxic chemicals and lifestyles are slowly killing us, and we're drowning in an absolute sea of noise, especially when it comes to harnessing and channeling our focus. How do we remain focused when flashy thumbnails, sound bites, clever marketing, and alluring hooks continue to grasp for our attention? It's impossible to get ahead. There's no hope. You should give up. Forget about it. Why even bother? You'll never make it. The conditions are against you. It's way too hard. Well, these are all the things that a pessimist would say. And while I don't think I'm a pessimist, I do lean towards being more of a realist. And I found this to be the truth, and I'll say it again to really drive this point home. If you're not focusing on high priority activities that get you closer to your dreams and your vision for life, you'll automatically default to low priority activities that keep you wallowing in stagnation and mediocrity. And this is where I've distilled all of these ideas into my anchoring the vision 6-step framework. And this is what it looks like. Clarify your values and your vision for life. Distill this vision for life into projects and goals that will help you move closer towards your vision. Implement the strategies and systems, aka the step-by-step process of getting from point A to point B. Create structure in your life so you can schedule in high priority tasks accordingly. Remove distractions, remain committed, be relentless with your execution, and stay curious, be creative, and follow your intuition towards new opportunities that feel aligned to your greater vision. Now, I'd love to offer a quick yet ever so relevant history lesson here. 15 plus years ago, I was bedridden. I was weighed down by debilitating physical illness. I was barely able to function. I had chronic fatigue, brain fog, horrible respiratory issues, all manner of gut dysfunctions, liver problems, adrenal burnout, heart palpitations, a jacked up nervous system, blood biomarkers all over the shop, pains and aches all throughout my body. And I know that some of you can relate to this. Systemic chronic illness is no joke. And it took a painfully long time for me to climb out of that hole. And even then, I hovered at around 60, 70% max capacity. Symptoms would come and go. I'd get sick with colds really easily, fall into bouts of fatigue, and eventually I'd reach some sort of baseline again, only to plateau and then fall into complacency and good enough, despite the forever nagging feeling of not being at optimal health. Deep down, I was dissatisfied, depressed, and super lonely, really, because I felt like no one really knew what I was going through. I'd beat myself up constantly, wondering why I wasn't getting any better, and that cycle would continue many times over. And looking back at those times, a multitude of factors were at play. Poor nutrition, heavy metal toxicity, chronic inflammation, poor detox pathways, a history of heavy antibiotic use handed out like candy by doctors. There was also a history of heavy alcohol and drug abuse in my early adulthood. Of course, there's a whole bunch of environmental chemicals, EMF exposure, artificial lighting, poor sleep, parasites, not to mention all the emotional baggage and the unresolved trauma and all the dysfunctional beliefs and behaviors and spiritual disconnection that I had to sort out. It became clear to me that the candle was burning at both ends and something needed to change. And although it wasn't obvious at the time, I clearly had to reorient some of my core beliefs and my habits and behaviors because my daily actions weren't matching what I said that I wanted. I wanted health, I wanted vitality, I wanted healing, I wanted spiritual connection, but I wasn't prioritizing any of that. So it really took me getting to rock bottom, which it often does for some of us, which really was akin to a higher power, creator, spirit, the cosmos, my higher self, putting me in a spiritual headlock and saying, "Wake up, dummy. You've been asleep for too long, and it's finally time for you to make the necessary changes, or else." So really, I could either ignore the warning signs or listen to the message and humble myself to the long and challenging journey out of this pit of despair. And the choice was obvious, and I decided to listen. And that's what led me down the path of spiritual awakening, traditional and natural healing, holistic health and vitality principles, plant-based shamanic practices like working with ayahuasca, wachuma, kambo, cannabis, psilocybin, various other ceremonial initiations like sweat lodge, and deep and powerful wilderness immersions like Vision Quest. And then fast forward over a decade later, and here we are, a life full of health, vigor, vitality, because I made the choices to ensure that my daily actions were a direct match to what I said mattered most. Intentional action, purposeful direction, creating and following systems to get from point A to point B. Now, we found ourselves at another one of the great problems when it comes to anchoring in your dreams and vision for life, and that is that your dreams aren't even really your dreams. Many people have an image of what they think would be their dream life. Fancy car, big house, private jet, lounging on the beach, soaking up the sunshine, infinite amount of numbers in the bank account. And yeah, sure, that sounds fun and enjoyable for a while, but I can almost guarantee you, you'll start craving something else after some amount of time. You'll still be searching for more. And that's because while you thought that that was your dream life, that was actually programming and conditioning obtained through societal and cultural values and someone else's definition of success. And so following your dreams and pursuing the creation of your dream life I would say that that's not enough. It has to converge with your mission, your vision, your purpose, your soul path, your destiny. They're all slightly different things. They have their nuances, their subtle distinctions. And everyone will have their own definitions for these, but I'll offer my own distinctions so you have an understanding of what I mean here. Mission. This is the work that you're called to do in this chapter of your life. It is the tactical expression of how you create impact in the world with your contributions. Vision, I mentioned this. Think of this as the atmosphere that you're working toward, like a distant horizon calling you forward. It's typically given to you rather than a consciously created visual image, as a glimpse of what's possible from Creator, inspiring you to keep moving forward into a greater potential. Then there's purpose. It's your journey of being and becoming. It's deeper than mission and vision and more foundational than dreams. It's about discovering and aligning with the fullest expression of your deep and authentic self. Then there's soul path. In a nutshell, it's about uncovering and remembering your original blueprint, the expression of your unique place within the living web of nature. Just as each tree, river, and mountain holds its place in an ecosystem, your soul has a niche, a role that only you can fulfill. And then there's destiny, the unfolding possibilities when you live authentically, blending your free will with your highest potential. It's not a predetermined fate that we're talking about here, but the natural outcome of living in accordance with your true nature and your highest values. It's what becomes possible when you stop resisting your authentic soul path. And when all of these elements align, when your dreams arise from your soul path, when your mission serves your vision, when your actions align with your purpose, that's when you create not just your dream life, but a destiny filled with meaning, fulfillment, intention, and direction. It's a life that feels purposeful and inevitable, both challenging and yet deeply, deeply right. This is why those surface level dreams and surface level definition of success often leaves people feeling empty. They're pursuing a collage of societal expectations rather than the unique constellation of mission, vision, purpose, and destiny that their soul is calling them towards. And make no mistake, in a world of disorientation, we need processes of reorientation to help us refocus on what truly matters. When we determine our values, it brings clarity, and clarity helps bring focus. And being able to focus in this day and age, it's a superpower. We are the co-creators of our own destiny. So it's up to us to get clear on what we truly want, what truly matters to us, and to renew our commitments to this path, the path of heart, soul, spirit, mission, vision, purpose, and vitality. If this year, 2025, isn't the year to step up and take the reins to start anchoring in something truly remarkable for yourself, how long are we going to keep waiting? How long are we going to keep putting it off? It's a good thing to remember that phrase, someday. It's a seductive wind that lulls us into a waking sleep. It's a siren song that ensures our dreams go to die a lonely death in the bone pile of life. And as I often say, we have two options: the pain and challenge of wallowing in distractions, complacency, and limiting beliefs, or the pain and challenge from exploring our shadows, growing through hardship, and transforming our reality through aligned and intentional action. So, if we want a different life, we've got to create a different story. Clarify your vision, clarify your values, change your beliefs, change your behaviors, acquire new evidence. And through that, rewire your brain, rewrite your story, recreate your life. The time is now, my friend. Look, if we're not already connected on social media, please come and do so at Kayuta Kiora, except on YouTube where I'm just at Kayuta, but you'll find me there with the search. And if you want to work with me in person, there are still a couple of limited spaces available for our Vision Quest in April to May this year, 2025, Victoria, Australia, about 3.5 hours from Melbourne. So come and reach out if you're feeling a call towards that. And also, I have a new program coming out. It's what I've been working on for the past few months now. The third iteration of a program that I first created a decade ago to specifically help you approach sacred shamanic visionary medicines in the best way possible. I'm about to drop the pre-launch for this program. So if you're interested, if that sounds like you might be interested in that, come and connect, follow along so you know when everything becomes available, as there is going to be a limited access release during this pre-launch phase. So look, I'm going to leave it all at that. If you've made it this far and you value what I've shared, once again, I'm your host, Kayuda. Like and subscribe. You know the deal. There's another video that I'll link somewhere here. If you're watching this on video, that is, if you want more insight on the path of creating your dreams and vision for life. So go check out that one next. And look, lastly, you may have noticed my cup here that I've been sipping on. It is one of my favorite adaptogenic tonics. If you're not familiar with adaptogens, they are herbs, roots, other plant substances, including mushrooms, that help the body, mind manage stress and restore balance after stressful periods of life. And they help rebuild vitality, support immunity, enhance longevity. Mushrooms like reishi, chaga, cordyceps, lion's mane. These are some of the most popular adaptogens. And then you have herbs like hishu wu, eucommia bark, ashwagandha, ginseng, so on and so forth. And personally, I use a lot of Superfeast products, a brand here in Australia, which makes some of the highest quality adaptogenic herbs and tonics. So if you're interested, I've linked the discount code in the notes, which you can use time and time again to pick up a whole stack of longevity and vitality tonics with 10% off. The code is Kayuda10, so keep that discount code handy. And also, anytime you make a purchase, I get a small commission, which helps support the podcast, which is great. So it's a win-win situation here. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for sticking around for another episode of Birdsong. I'm Kayuda. Until next time.